Hey, a little update on these York compressors here. If anybody's been following up on these things, I think these compressors out of older style vehicles, older style AC from vehicles from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I think this has the potential to work pretty well for my refrigeration project. They might actually be decent enough to build a real viable system, like a household heat pump or something, but I really don't know yet. So right now I'm just in the phase of playing around with them. You can pick one of these things up, at least locally. I can get one for about $52 at the pick and pull. So as far as getting adapters, fittings for the top of these, I've learned a lot here in the last few days. And as I said previously, this style here, the flat top with the flanges, these have been a lot easier to find for me because I knew I could find them in old Volvos, and here in the Northwest there's a lot of Volvos. So I wanted to try to find adapters for the flat top, and I did locate O'Reilly Auto Parts has I can get a pair of them for like $86, but they have to be special ordered from I think Phoenix or something. And I don't even hold a lot of hope that they're even going to be able to get them. So a little more research, and I did find that I could get the Rotolock type service valves, backseating service valves for this style of compressor. So I really was pushing to find these Rotolock styles, and they're a little harder to find. I did pick this one up out of an '86 Volkswagen Quantum, but it's been pretty slim pickings. A lot of '60s and some '70s Volkswagens, especially Beetles. But trying to find parts for one of those things cheap is, not proven to be very easy. So, go back and look at these flanges again, and I did find adapters that'll go from the flange to the Rotolock, and then use a Rotolock service valve. But then that fell short because they weren't able to supply those adapters. So a little more research, and I found out that the O-ring style, the tube O style of fitting for these compressors is only slightly different. It's the same thread as the Rotolock. It's a little bit taller, I believe, but it's the same thread. It's just the inside that's a little bit different. And you can get adapters that look something like this. This is just a Teflon flat washer for the Rotolock mate. Why it has this collar, this sleeve, I'm not exactly sure. It's something to do with the fitting that I pulled out of this. Actually did have a tube that went down in there, but I'm fairly confident this is actually just the Rotolock style. And just looking at the plate itself and some of the data that I've scrounged up online. So I actually ended up ordering those Rotolock fittings coming, and because I'm going to go ahead and take this one back, I can get store credit for it and scrounge around and find myself, since I can't find more Rotolocks, I'm going to get a O-ring tube fitting head. And doing a little research, I found out that late 70s and up to like the mid 80s, larger Ford pickup trucks, I think some of the Ford Econolines, an '81 Ford Fairmont, there's a number of Fords that use the O-ring style. And they're pretty common here locally. So I'm going to go ahead and try to find myself one of those, and then I'll have two compressors sitting here, and pick parts from the best one. Probably end up rebuilding them both, playing around with them both. But I swapped parts around in these two a little bit, just because I like the valve plate in this one a little bit better, and I like the single pulley here. But it's the same thing. It's a perfectly good compressor. So if anybody's interested in looking for parts for these or backseating service valves, I could probably point you in the right direction, because I've spent many a hour searching for them. So what I've set up right here is I took the bracket from this would have been out of the Volvo, and I think I'm going to actually use that just to mount it. It has 4 bolt holes on both sides. They're symmetrical, and since this bracket already will bolt to it pretty easily, I'm just going to use that. It was actually flipped the other way around, so these rubber vibration mounts were on the top before. But I think what I'm going to do is cut the welds off, scarf them a little bit, and then drill probably 4 holes in the bottom of this bracket so that I can mount it to whatever platform I end up finally mounting the compressor and everything else to. Probably something like this, maybe a board a little bit bigger, a little more rigid. Might suspend some of the components, so if I have to do any brazing or anything, I don't have to worry about burning anything, but I think wood's good enough for me. And I'll probably turn the compressor around the other way so I don't have to worry about, sticking my hand in the belt when I'm working on it, and mount the motor in such a way that it pivots or slides, and put a spring on it so it keeps tension on the belt and everything. And the receiver is going to get mounted somewhere out here. It does have a service valve, backseating service valve on the intake of it, I believe. And then the condenser is actually going to be mounted up above because I actually want it to be able to fully drain liquid refrigerant down into the receiver. And then out of the receiver, it's going to go through another valve, backseating service valve, because I want to be able to completely shut this thing off. And then on a few other components, and then onto the evaporator. But yeah, that's it for today. Like I said, if you have any questions or anybody's looking for these things, I can definitely shoot you some links and give you some information to try to find it and make it a little easier on you since I've already done the work. Thanks a lot.